for me to belong on the Board of Finance. And the reason I have this role this evening is because Tony Calzerano, our chair, is on vacation, and Joe Nash, our vice chair, is nowhere to be found. But I'm happy to say I have my colleagues with me, Barb Garso, Kathleen Noel Johnson, Sue Gardner, and David Briggs. I'm going to be deflecting some of the questions this evening to the town administrator, the mayor, and our previous treasurer, and our current treasurer. These are the rules we're going to be following today, this evening I should say. No yelling or screaming. Will not be tolerated. Those doing so will be asked to vacate the building. You'll be allowed a total of 10 minutes max for your questions, so there's ample time to answer all questions. I ask that all of those people having questions, raise your hand, go to the mic, introduce yourself, your address, and your questions, and we will attempt to answer those questions as best we can. Please refer to the page number and the line item number of the budget and the pamphlet you received, so that we all know what you're talking about. Before I do anything, I better read this into the minutes. Legal notice, Town of Putnam, notice of public hearing, April 17, 2013, pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 7, Section 5 of the Putnam Town Charter. The Board of Finance of the Town of Putnam will hold a public hearing in the auditorium of the Putnam Middle School, 33 Wicker Street, Israel Putnam Way, Putnam, Connecticut, on estimates of the revenues and expenditures of the Town of Putnam fiscal year, July 1, 2013 to July 30, 2014, on Wednesday, April 17, 2013, at 7:30 p.m. All persons who wish to speak on any item in the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2013-2014, or who may wish to recommend consideration by government officials of additional items or the rejection of items will be heard. Copies of the detailed budgets for the general government, library, are available at the library, Board of Education, and the Town Hall rolls will be available in the mayor's office also. Town clerk's office and the Board of Education on Thursday, April 11, 2013. Anthony Calzerano, Chairman. Board of Finance, April 2, 2013. Having read that into the minutes, we can start with our first question.
Thank you. Good evening, Pete, and members of the Board of Finance. I'm BCA 171 Elmwood Hill Road, Putnam, Connecticut. As a former member of the Board of Finance in the town of Thompson, I know the difficult decisions you have to make before you tonight. And what I want to do is I looked over some figures, and I would like to ask some questions of this board to see if my figures are right with their figures. So my first question to the board would be, what is the amount of the ash landfill closure?
What page number are you on and what line item?
This would be in the audit report.
In the what?
In the audit report that we previously got. Because unless the line item for the landfill closure revenue, is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking for the page number.
Page 16.
Okay.
Okay, under general government, 13, 14, and the revenue would be 4412, ash landfill tipping fees. It doesn't show the total amount of what's in the account itself, the total ash landfill.
You mean where it says $2,500,000?
Yes, that's what's the revenue that's coming in this year, that's projected. What I'm asking for is what is in that fund at this point.
It's about
4 million. Okay, thank you. Second question, how much money is used from the ash landfill account in the general operating budget over the 2.1 million for the fiscal 2013-2014 budget year? The reason I asked that question is there was a resolution, I think it was in 204 or 206, where anything over 2.1 million, 3% would be added to the general operating budget every year. So what I'm asking is, what amount over the 2.1 million of that resolution is used in the general operating government budget at this time, the 2000?
And what line item is that? And page?
Well, that there, I would assume would come out of, it would be in revenue, but I don't know where they would put it in the general fund. If 3 million is collected in that, what, 2.5 million is anticipated this year. Now, out of that 2.5 million, what amount over the 2.1 million that the resolution stated that we add 3% every year would be used in the general operating government budget? That's a figure that I can't have. I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. I don't know. But yet, there's a resolution, 3% every year is added to the general fund for purposes of the general fund budget.
We cut that down last year because we weren't anticipating as much ash. We still haven't gotten this year's final numbers of the ash. So I really can't tell you how much more we're going to collect or whether we will, but they're trying to be conservative in their estimates because we were afraid of kind of threatening to send our ash to Millbury.
Okay, but the question I have is that, Paula, the question I
I don't
have
have that figure with, I gave it to Bill the other day.
okay, so in other words, what I'm trying to say is that 2.1 million, are we using, instead of now 2.1 million for the general operating budget, that is automatically put into the budget where you can't see it? Are we using 2.2 million, 2.4 million, 2.5 million? I don't know. And that's critical in the point of where we are in this ash landfill closure. But I understand. I'll wait for an answer for a later date.
No, I can give you an answer now. The calculation that is expected is that we're expecting $2.9 million, and of that, 2.7 million would be able to be used for general government purposes.
Okay.
The remainder would go into the special ash landfill account, which is the $4 million that Paul referenced. So if you take that $4 million, which was at the close of July, June 30th, 2012, you add that, whatever, a couple hundred thousand, that's what we were expecting to have in that fund. But by the town ordinance that was adopted, which allows that 3% increase every year, what we're receiving would allow us to use $2.7 million.
Okay, so in other words,
But we might not get it.
yeah, but I'm just
We don't know what the closeout is yet.
right. But technically, so we're actually looking at, instead of the $2.1 million coming out of the general fund, out of the ash landfill account, it's now 2.7 that you're using in the general government budget. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, that's where you get that money.
Okay. But that's a big, we went from 2.1 to we say 2.6. That's $500,000 over 4 years. And this money's been coming into the general government to operate this budget. There's a purpose why I asked this question. And thank you very much for the answer. I appreciate it. Next thing, in the capital non-reoccurring account for the town. Excuse me? Okay. Page 12, total will be, in the capital non-recurring account for the town, you have $203,000.
Line item?
It's just the page at the bottom, for the Board of Education, capital
Okay.
line items, page 13, transportation.
1481? Okay.
Yeah, you have 178,000 in that, and in the capital non-reoccurring on page 12, you have the 203. Combined is 381,500. Is this money coming out of the general operating budget, or are you going to put it into the capital of the bonding issue later on that I'll talk about?
This is the regular budget.
So it's in the regular budget, so it's going to come out of the regular general government budget. Thank you. next question. Does the Board of Finance plan to borrow approximately $900,000 over 10 years of the ash landfill closure fund to finance the 5-year capital improvement program for the 2012-2014 budget years, and that's on page 22 totals?
Okay, what line are we
We're referring to the total capitals, which is $928,000.
Okay.
The 5-year capital.
Yep, got it. And your question is?
My question is, are you going to use the total $928,000 in this fund and borrow from the ash landfill? Is that was the board's desire, the finance board's desire?
Is it coming from the cash landfill, the 928,000? Because we're borrowing from ourselves.
If it's passed by the town meeting, there will be a provision on the town meeting call that would use, as a financing mechanism, would use the ash landfill account for the purposes of financing the $928,000.
Answer your question.
That answers my question. Thank you very much. Next question, on page 21 on the Public Works and Asphalt Recycling Town Road Aid. Why is there no funds in it when the previous and in future years it was funded?
Jerry, can you answer that?
No, I requested $300,000.
He's already got his $300,000 under,
So, under Public Works,
right.
It wouldn't be in the regular budget.
No, it'd be under 21, page 21,
yeah,
okay, under 5-year capital plan,
yeah,
okay, the road
it's
construction.
$300,000.
Right, there's 300, he's got that, but I'm talking about the Town 8 road. We got 0 in this year's budget, and
Town Aid Road is on page 19. We get one from the state for road.
how much?
It's on page 19. I believe that's,
Page 19.
we get 239,000 next year, and we have a balance in this year. So I think is that what's funding it, John?
It could, yes.
Well, then it should be $100,000 in that account for next year. For next year's budget, If that's the case, if that grant is coming in, the receipt from the state grant, 2013, 2014, if it's 239,701, then there should be $100,000 in that line item because of
Left
the.
over.
It's a separate fund. It's not part of the general.
I know.
What fund is it?
The Town Aid Road Fund. It's a Town Aid Road Fund. That's kept
Town Aid Road Fund.
separate from the general.
So
The operating fund.
what line item is that, so we can make reference?
It's not a line item in our budget.
So how do you,
It used to be 1481 roads and bridges,
right,
but there's nothing in there this year that I can say. I believe the intent was to take it out of county road. Is that right?
That's my,
No, I wasn't thinking about it.
but I guess the question is $300,000.
There's $300,000.
And there's whatever money that's coming from the, as aid, what happens to the rest of the $300,000?
If we have to borrow through the ash landfill account, then we'll use that funding for that purpose, which would reduce our overall financing costs.
So that's part of the 928?
No,
So that's got to be in addition to.
that's right.
Yeah, road reconstruction. It's under road reconstruction.
Construction in the capital budget, the 5-year capital budget, which is part of.
That's a
the-
300,000. But if you got 100,000 in town road aid, it should be listed in that line item. It confuses people because now we got 0 and we got 100,000 next year. In the previous years, we had 100,000, all of a sudden it
Because
counts as 0.
It's going to be financed on some, I don't know, I didn't do this budget. I think the board.
It's gonna be financed by taking the money out of the ash landfill fund,
No,
paying it
no,
back.
it's coming out of the state of Connecticut grant. That
It's
she-
the grant.
The grant that she stated on page 19 of the state of Connecticut grant 2013, 2014, an amount of 239,701.
So the $300,000 is not.
The 300,000 is already there, Bob. But if you've got 129,000 left over, is that the town road aid that we're not putting into the, five-year capital non-recurring account? That's the question I have.
What
Is
happens
it
to the
zero?
balance?
It's a zero amount now.
I guess that's the question, what happens to what happens to that money that we receive?
Road, it
It
stays
gets,
there.
it gets carried over year to year. It's one of the things by state statute that we're allowed to carry over from year to year.
And where do you carry that over in?
The
In
town
a
aid road
separate
account.
fund.
The road account. So if he spends 300,000 every year, where is this other money going to?
Sometimes he uses town aid road money to supplement the 300,000 that we leave after the budget.
So we're using additional money sometimes, is what you're saying.
The other thing is what will happen is if we get a really large road project that comes up, we will start to accumulate some money in the town aid road fund, and we can use that to offset the cost of a large.
So you're actually accumulating money when you're not using all of it, just the 300,000 to use at a later time,
Possibly, yes.
possibly at a
But
later
it can
time.
also be used within the current operating budget.
Well, then the next question I would have is how much is in the town aid road fund? That's the next question.
It's on page 19.
427,000, right?
Yeah.
Well, that will be if we get the state budget. But the existing is 188,000 right now.
188, 187, 940 to be precise.
And the state's gonna give us, hopefully,
Well, that's the governor's budget.
3701, maybe.
And the bonding package just passed yesterday, which included that.
Any other questions on it?
Yes, I think that satisfies me. Now, in page 17, it'll be tax grants, and it'll be 1321. But what I'm interested in is 4612 local capital, 4614 National Pequot grant. I see this year, in previous years, we've had that grant, and in this year, there's a zero amount.
No money.
Is that?
Didn't receive any.
We're not going to get it.
We're not gonna get it.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And probably my last question is, what is the unassigned fund balance for the town's general fund, and how much money was put into the account in the 2011-2012 budget audited, and what was added to the account off the 2011-2000 budget?
What page, Bonnie?
There's no page that was in the audit.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason I say that is, the fund balance, there's no place in here where the fund balance shows 2.8 million, which is there now, in the fund balance. And the reason I ask all these questions is that I would ask this board to consider that the amount of money we brought in last year that we overtaxed the citizens of Putnam for, that we have reduced this town budget in amount of 1 mil totally, because we have the money in the capital account, the reserve account, the fund balance, the unassigned fund balance, even taking out the 10% that the state requires, we have more than enough money to return to the town. Times are rough, things are tough. We know that there's projects coming up, and when people vote for the school, then they know that the taxes will go up. But at this point, looking over the budget the way I've looked over, I'm just trying to get some figures. So I want to be honest and upfront with the figures, but I feel that there's enough money left over in the fund balance to reduce the mill rate by a mill. There shouldn't be a mill increase in this year's budget, and we should use the money out of the unassigned general.
I can tell you the Board of Finance will be convening. The next meeting is on Monday, so we'll go over the questions that are being proposed this evening.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Anybody else? Acknowledge your name, address, and question.
Don Steinberg, 423 Providence Pike, Putnam, Connecticut. I'd like to go to page 18, and I'd like to ask, what is the balance in the sticker fund?
Can you answer that one,
I don't know, I
Doug?
think it's probably about 150,000. I looked at it. Probably about 150,000.
What's the line item on that?
It's not a line item, it's a separate cost for, the burn plan expense, the stick that you put on your garbage bags.
Yeah,
It's
I
not,
know, I'm
it's
just
not
looking,
in our budget.
I'm looking for it.
It's not there,
It's not in there.
no.
Oh. Where are you referencing that again from? Because I don't see the sticker on that.
Page 18, 1900.
19.
Transfer from town sticker fund.
We did that one year.
Okay, what's the balance of that fund
I
now?
think it's, I don't know, I really haven't looked at it.
Okay,
I don't work here anymore.
okay.
Still playing catch up with nothing being caught up because that was done for several months.
Are we gonna get caught up before we have a budget, or?
We have a budget.
Okay. My second question is, what is the balance in the local capital improvement account, page 17? 1321?
1321, what's the line item?
That's what we spend. There is none. We get money from the state every year, so we will, it's used to offset the budget. We use it for a capital item, and they reimburse us.
Okay, thank you. My next question is for the Board of Education. I'd like to know what is in the premium
Question
stabilization
should come to
reserve
the Board
medical
of
account.
Finance and move to flex it to whomever it may be.
Fine. You get the question?
No, I didn't get the question.
Okay. What is the balance in the town Board of Education, the premium stabilization reserve medical insurance account?
Just the Board of Ed or both the Board of Ed and town?
Board of Ed first, I think the town second, but
And this varies due to our claims, approximately $700,000. With the town, it's about 1,100,000.
okay, thank you. And Dr. Hull, if the school renovation is passed, when will the town start paying for the short-term bonding that we're gonna do? Do you know when that will affect that tax rate?
I believe and Doug, you can correct me, it's after the project is finished, correct?
Well, the permanent financing will be after the project's finished, but the interim financing will have an impact during construction, and that will be
Starting a year from today or so, in spring of 2014.
So it'll affect the tax rate then? Roughly.
Roughly.
Thank you
But
very
that
much.
would be short term.
Thank you. At 1%.
Any other questions? No other questions from Ms. Hodge, Boyd? Going once? Going twice?